Family Forward is educating you. Okay, that is really what I want to do. Share with you what I know, put some thoughts in your mind, talk about and apply it all to why things are happening that they are and how we can make change. So if you would please share this. So much is going on. So many things are happening. And we just need to stay on it. Stay on it. Don't let up. Remember, law follows policy. Policy follows culture. And you are the culture. Okay? You are the American people. Okay, I think I've got a few invites in there. For those of you who are new to Family Forward Project, I do my lives. I would love to be doing one once a week. I have not done it once a week for a variety of reasons. Number one, those of you who have been around a while know that I am a full-time practicing attorney, and I must keep my practice going all the time. I have always been a really, really hard worker, and I work 60 hours a week, I'm sure, in my law practice, and some of that is studying and just doing additional research, not always client billable time, but just educating myself, not only in CLEs, but other publications that I find that are available. So, okay. All right. We've done a few tags. If y'all would just pass that around. Let me see. I'm not sure if got to look for a couple different people here and make sure I get them in. And just 1 minute. Okay. Now, I'm just going to tell you something odd about, going to tell you something odd about who I tag, because I don't want anybody to feel slighted. And that is that Facebook decides who pops up in my scroll for tagging. So if you would like to be tagged, I know sometimes I will put a post up that says I'm going to be doing a live, and somebody will go, tag me, tag me, tag me. Well, I like to do the tagging in like 10 to 15 seconds so that we can get right into the video. It's just an odd way that Facebook has their lives occur. So I apologize if you want to be tagged and I don't. If you would, I try to post the time. I try to give some notice. If you've worked with me for a while, you know that I'm usually not right on time because I'm trying to gather things up and make a list and get organized, pull the documents that I want to talk about, etc. So making sure I have water to drink, and I find a place that's comfortable. It's a beautiful, beautiful day, fall day here in Tennessee, so I'm very happy to be able to be outside today. Okay, so let's talk about a few things. First of all, for those, thank you, Wendy. It's orange. I love this. It's my beautiful fall orange color. But as you know, we've posted several times. We did a DC. There's a lot going on in DC. Thank you, Kathleen Arthur, for marching up there, getting all those people up there, being able to help with housing and get housing coordinated, working with the Fathers' Rights Group to just kind of bring this whole thing globally into the focus of congressmen. I so appreciate that. You are just such an enthusiastic leader in that regard, and all the people that have shown up, gone there, walked the halls, done that is so important. Remember, I'm going to say this again, put this in your head. Law follows policy, policy follows culture. You are the culture. Okay, your voice. And I made another post today. It's like everything that you see about child welfare reform, about foster care abuse, about fake Amber Alerts, where they're Amber Alerting for kids being wrongfully removed from parents on ex parte orders, which need to be abolished. Follow them, like them, share them. I mean, the more exposure. I know with the stories that I did with Fox 17 News in Nashville, Tennessee, one of the stories got 1 million hits, and they were so shocked by that and so pleased. So keep sharing them, keep watching, make the culture. You can do that. And especially today with social media, we can do it. Make the culture. All right, so great for DC. Not sure exactly what's going to come out of that. I told Raymond I would go on his show this evening. Raymond Schwab, I know most of you listen to him. I think he has a couple shows a week. I'm doing Sunday night tonight. We're going to talk about the Family First Act, and we're also going to talk about the Family First Transition and Support Act, which is the one that is currently before Congress. It's currently sitting in a subcommittee called the Worker and Family Support Committee. It only has, and I made a post about that, it only has about 13, 14 members. I was able to, with Whitney Manning, have a personal meeting with Congressman Davis out of Chicago, a great man who's been in Congress a really long time. And if you look at that committee, he's done a lot of things for father support. He actually has a great understanding and compassion about how the breakdown in the family has caused so much social distress and poverty levels and government assistance and all of that. So, we're trying to, he has a policymaker in his office. We've also kind of identified that Congress has a few people who are their policymakers within that. The thing we have to be careful of is there's a difference between the intellectual policymaking people and the people, okay? So a lot now, even when we make the voices heard, we've got to make sure that our voices are heard, okay? I went to the American Bar Association conference on parent representation in April. It was great. We had nearly 600 people there from all over the country. We had several sessions, and I have to say that generally, at least the syntax and the speaking was all about protecting parents' rights and protecting family rights. So we have to keep pushing forward on that, but that was the culture of that group, okay? Now, within that group, we have a real interesting mix of conservatives and liberals. There's and I won't remember all their names right now, but there's a professor in New York that I met who's done quite a bit of writing on it. There's a professor in Michigan, Vivek Sakaran. Some of you have read some of his writings. Richard Wexler was there, Diane Redleaf. There were attorneys from all over the country. We had one specific breakout, about when should parents' rights be terminated, and about half of the people in the room, who were all attorneys, said never. The other half said only in the conditions of the most severe abuse. So that culture is working. I'm working on some other cultures, as we're going to talk about here in a minute. It is the fall. I'm going to tell you, I have reposted again this document right here called the Family Integrity Act. I put this together about 3 years ago, but why this is so important is it goes through proposed legislation, and we need to get this in the hands of your state legislators and federal legislators, because this is from the perspective of the rights of the family, the rights of the children, the rights of the parents, the responsibilities of the agency. Nobody talks about what is the responsibility of the agency. So you will find this in the you'll find this under the files in Family Forward Project. I just reposted it. It's called the Family Integrity Act. It is 4 pages long. A few people have tried to take it and download it and revamp it and put a resolution and stuff in it. Just don't even bother with that. Don't even try to complicate it. Just get that printed. And if people read this, it has basically things in there like a family is entitled to all their records. Really, when people who are in lawmaking positions read that, they have to say to themselves that appears to be a no-brainer. So here, so you need to download that. The other thing I uploaded again was what I called the operational review that I prepared about a year ago. It's a really nice 4-page document that really kind of explains in very layman's terms the effects that ASPA has had on the child welfare system. So those 2 documents, very, very critical. Everybody says, everyone says, no, Mary Ellen, you're not the only one here. So everyone says, I want to do something. Who do I reach out to? So you need to print those 2 documents, get them in the hands of your state and federal legislators. Okay, I need you to do that. I'm going to go ahead and talk about books. I so appreciate the stories, the books. I have that book put together. It is 311 pages, and printing for 311 pages is not cheap. So what I did when I went to Washington is I printed 7 books, and I took them up there and distributed them to congressmen and representatives and put them in their hands. I am this week going to be looking at a couple resources for printing the books and binding them online, which will give me some price benefits. Some people have wanted to buy them. I am going to allow you to do that to help pay for cost. Oh my gosh. Okay, so my network is kind of buzzing in and out. If you lose me, somebody, oh, Adolfo, I would love to work with you. I would love to do that. Okay, so I am sitting outside and my Wi-Fi may buzz in and out. I will be uploading this and uploading it to YouTube later. If you lose my video, would somebody please just put it in the comments so I can tell? But as long as it says live, I think we're okay. Otherwise, it's going to record and I'll upload it. All right, so Family Integrity Act. Adolfo, you need to download the Family Integrity Act and the operational review that I posted, or PM me and give me an email, and I will email them directly to you so you have them in hand. All right, events. So let's talk about that. I am going to California October the 4th. I am going to pull an all-nighter to fly up there Thursday night and be there Friday morning, and then I am going to have to leave early Friday. So I know they're doing some events in the morning. I'm going to have to be one of the first few speakers so I can get out of there and catch a plane and get back Friday night, because Saturday, October the 5th is Birmingham, Alabama. So if you are anywhere close to Birmingham, a lot of you Georgia people, if you could please come to Birmingham so I could meet you face to face. I know Georgia is a real mess and we've got to get some leadership over there and get some organization. So if any of you Georgia people could come, Mississippi, you're not that far away. If you could come over, look, I'm driving 4 hours to get there. If you're within a 4-hour radius, you need to get up and get away to get there. Okay, Birmingham, October the 5th. Those are posted in the events on the Family Forward Project. All right, so events. Also, then the end of October, we have a trip planned back to D.C. So this bill, the Families First Transition and Support Act, is pending right now. And I'm going to talk about that briefly, and then I'm going to talk about it more tonight with Raymond. So I will get Raymond, he does it through Zoom and post it on Facebook, and I will make sure that they share it into the Family Forward Project as well. But basically, it's not as strong as it needs to be. It's really more just about the funding, and I'll spend some time talking with Raymond about funding and why it really doesn't have the zap that we need it. But one of the things that we need to talk about is conflicts of interest, and we need to start peeking up their ears about conflicts of interest. Every time I mention conflicts of interest in a congressional meeting or in a legislative meeting, I at least get, an eyebrow or, a catch a breath or a nod of the head or something. Can have conflicts. So, all right, now I talked about that. This is really important. I want to talk about. This is, you can pull it up yourself and read it if you want to. It's called Kershaw v. Levy. This is an opinion that just came out from the Supreme Court of Tennessee on a case that I did. Okay, I'm working on still. And just to show you how torturous and long litigation is, this litigation's been going on since 2006. That's 13 years for you who have math disability. 13 years. We are still in litigation over this. I'm going to tell you about it briefly. This is not a child welfare case. This is a divorce case. But I know we have lots of people in the Family Forward Project and lots of associated people who deal with divorce court. And I hear the same kinds of complaints about attorney incompetence, et cetera, in divorce court. The theory in this case is very important for two other reasons. One of them is because there's a certain group of people that is passing around this belief that all parents should do a declaration of truth and get it put in the court file, put it under oath, etc. I'm going to talk to you why today specifically under the law that is a very bad and dangerous idea if you don't have very specific professional leadership in doing that. All right, so in Kershaw v. Levy, this woman, Polly Kershaw, she was married. She'd been married for long time, 20 years. She had 2 children who were still minors, probably 6 and 7 and 8 years old at the time. And she had a very, I'm going to be careful about what I say because it's still a pending case, about the relationship. There was a bad relationship. So they're in a divorce. I can tell this because it's all published. They're in a divorce. And she has a couple attorneys. Some procedural manipulations have gone on for a couple years. And she had an attorney that did not produce her discovery. So she went and she hired this other attorney, and he told her specifically he would be getting her discovery done and that he would get some other things done for her. So, and unfortunately, his office was moving and it was chaos. And, I can kind of appreciate that because I've moved my office before a couple of times, and I know that you have, and you really should just expect the fact that you're going to have a couple weeks downtime or where you're just barely kind of hanging on by a thread as far as meeting deadlines. But anyway, he knew that. He knew that he was moving. He knew that he had deadlines. And so she took him his discovery. They end up in this court appearance, and it's on a Friday afternoon. The judge holds it till the end of the docket, and I know some of you have had this experience, holds it till the end of the docket, and then has this hearing like at 6 o'clock on Friday night. And there's some problems with that hearing. I'm not going to get into all the details of that right now because I want to get to the heart of what this opinion's about. But anyway, the attorney promised the judge that he would have the discovery to the other attorney. He said this on a Friday, by the following Wednesday. He said he would have it delivered by Wednesday. So unfortunately, his client had to spend the weekend in jail. Another issue we're not going to talk about here. Monday, she gets out of jail. She goes to his office. They spend all day Monday and Tuesday completing her discovery. And then comes Wednesday. Well, then they're in court on Friday on something else. And the husband's attorney stands up and says, I didn't get my discovery that I was supposed to have, Judge. And he promised I would get it. And he goes, I mailed it, right? And so then they have another court date in about a week and a half. This is during the Christmas holiday. And he comes to court, and the other attorney has the discovery and has the postmark that says he didn't mail it until December 15th, 2 days after he promised the judge he would have it to the other attorney. The judge was horrid. She sanctioned the wife. She struck all her pleadings. She lost contact with her children. She lost the possession of her house. Many of the assets were dissipated and disturbed. And she had this, and then this attorney said he was going to appeal. He didn't appeal it. And it was just junk for the next 2 months. It was horrible. So by summer, this had happened in the winter, by summer she found an attorney who would file a malpractice action against him, and not me, but somebody else, and who would help her finish her divorce case. Well, by the time she was getting ready to go to trial on a divorce, she had no relief. So just for the basic understanding of a legal system, you have to request specific relief, and you have to have your documents before the court, and we'll spend more time talking about that in the future. But she had no relief present, so she goes into a mediation and she settles. She basically gives up her kid. She gets a little bit of money out of retirement. She gets nothing. So about 6 months later is when I come into the case. I helped her at the court level. I got her contact with her kids again and did some other things. But we start following through with this legal malpractice action. Well, after a lot of gyrations and other obstacles, we get to the point where they try to dismiss the case because she agreed to a settlement in her divorce. And it says, they argued, the attorney that boggled the case up said, no, because she agreed in a marital dissolution agreement that her distribution was fair and equitable, and therefore she should be judicially estopped from seeking damages from the prior attorney. This is the key word here. Somebody type that into the comments. Judicially estopped. Judicial estoppel. E-S-T-O-P-P-E-L. Estoppel. A very, very, very important legal concept, and I want you to understand it because it's very important right now with all that is being talked about affidavits. All right, so, and somebody kind of watch the time for me too, because I may do another live, but at about 20 minutes, I need to cut off so I can upload it to YouTube. YouTube doesn't like videos that are more than about 20 minutes when I upload them from live. So if somebody would just kind of watch that for me, I would appreciate it. Let me know when it's about 18 minutes in. All right, so this is what's so important. Understand judicial estoppel and what affidavits are. This talks about the fact that had she actually entered an affidavit of facts and filed it with the court, that affidavit of facts could have been used against her in any proceeding, any other legal proceeding. So important to understand. For instance, estoppel, Elizabeth, E-S-T-O-P-P-E-L, E-S-T-O-P-P-E-L, estoppel. So, there you go, Sheila. Thank you. So they found that stating that it was fair and equitable in an MDA, and I'm going to pull this language out here, implies a context-related legal conclusion and not a fact. Okay, now this is so important for a couple reasons. One of them I just want to talk about this pursuit of affidavits of truth being filed with the court. Unless you have direction and legal counsel and support to help you understand exactly what that means to your case, please do not do it, and do not take the advice of anybody who tells you to do that. So important. All right. Hey, Tony. Oh, 20 minutes already? Oh, Amy, thank you. Okay, I'm going to finish Kershaw, and then I'm going to come back on. I know this is tedious for y'all, but I upload all these videos to YouTube. Tell people to join Family Forward Project on Facebook, and we get lots of new members. So I'm going to spend a few more minutes doing Kershaw, and then we're going to stop, and we're going to restart. Okay, so just hang in there with me. All right, so number one, affidavits. Be very, very careful. If you put down an affidavit of truth or an affidavit of facts or an affidavit that has legal conclusions in it, which means a legal conclusion is different from a fact, because a fact is who, what, when, where, what happened, right? And you can be held to those. And legal conclusions, your own kind of context-related legal conclusion is different. Okay, so be very, very careful. I heard this secondhand, so I cannot say clearly, but an affidavit of truth in a dependency case has been used against a parent in a criminal case to actually get criminal charges against them. So please, now I will say, many, many people have said to me, I can't get my facts into the court. I can't get my facts into the court. And I have said, you can always do an affidavit and offer of proof with the court to get your facts in. But you have to do it very carefully and professionally and understand what are the critical facts that need to put in. Okay, so, all right, so that's one thing. Here's the other thing that's very important about this. A few months ago, I also had a case on a legal malpractice case of a court-appointed attorney for a parent, and that court in a dependency and termination case. And the court-appointed attorney did not work with the parent on the dependency part as far as the PERM plan and making objections and making sure that all of the things that were necessary were reasonable and filing objections with the court. And that was the dependency attorney. And then the dependency attorney stipulates to child abuse with her client and then gets out of the case. And then DCS comes along and files for termination of parental rights on the parent. And they are using the fact that all the PERM plan issues were not met, right? And so it was all because of the incompetence of the attorney on the front end. But because it was so bad, and where there was nothing in the court record that said that she had even made an objection to the permanency plan, then I could not get the Court of Appeals to make a finding that she was incompetent in not serving that parent's interest in the dependency court. It's a new idea. It's a new concept. It's so important. But we need to keep pushing for that. However, this particular case, this Kershaw v. Levy case, is going to help. Because it basically says if you have an attorney that screws up so bad that you've lost all your rights, and then you agree to something later, some conclusion about agreeing to do a PERM plan or something that you agree to do, but your rights have been so badly damaged that you have no other option, then you may still have an action against them or an action for ineffective assistance of counsel. Okay, so with Kershaw in mind, I've got a few more important things I want to talk to you about here that have come up. I really want to share, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log off. I'm going to upload this video. It's going to take a few minutes. I have to download it. I have to share it to YouTube. So it's going to take me about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'm going to be back on. So I'll try to, again, tag a few people. But I want you all to hear what I'm going to talk about next, which I'm going to talk to you about attorney issues, and I'm going to talk to you about guardian ad litems and kids counsel and disability. Got a lot to do. I've had a really, really rough week. My brain has been stormed. And I'm going to tell you about that too. Okay, we're going off. We're coming back on. So everybody, just get prepared. Go get a drink of water, get some popcorn, go to the bathroom, whatever. We'll be right back.